And I started to rehearse this program with the orchestra. And in the middle of those rehearsals, suddenly I received from my brother the invitation to immigrate, which made me feel very uneasy, because I was absolutely sure that KGB, Committee for our Security, knows what mail anybody receives, especially those who are related to recent immigrants. And so I thought, you probably know exactly what kind of letter or invitation I received, and you probably know exactly that I'm going to apply to leave Soviet Union. And it was quite common for them to call the organization and tell them, you have an employee who has certain plans to leave the country. And being very naive and honest and modest man, I didn't think it was proper for somebody to tell my director about my intentions. So I did it myself. I said to him, I received invitation to join my family in Israel, so I'm planning to immigrate. Okay. So what director did, he immediately took me off my own program as a conductor. And we only had one rehearsal left before the concert. And he decided to call a meeting of all the leaders of Moscow Philharmonic Orchestra in intermission of my own rehearsal. So I walked into that room of a director, and all my colleagues, principals, and secretaries of the, we had secretary of the party, and secretary of the musicians union, sitting there, and they're looking and thinking, what is going on? And then the director said, I'm sorry to bother you here, but we need to have an urgent meeting because our colleague apparently is deciding to leave us, immigrate to Israel. And in his own words, he hits us with a knife in our back. Well, it is very flowery Russian language. In the back of our process to the movement towards communism. I'm not sure if it is very well translated to English, but the whole idea is that I am a traitor. So all of them are sitting with the very sad faces, because they were all great friends of mine, and they were all delighted to see me coming out of violin section and becoming a young and promising conductor. So they were very shocked. And then director demanded that each of them had to make comment condemning me for my actions. And of course they became very uncomfortable doing that in front of my colleagues, in front of me, but that was part of Soviet society, you see. And there was one particular person by name Mr. Friedman, who was a viola player, and he was very active in our political gathering, because he was always reporting on current political affairs, and he was known to stand in front of orchestra and deliver speeches on current political affairs as seen by Soviet government, politically correct. This time Mr. Friedman is sitting, he was bald, and his head was absolutely red, like red flag. And director is asking, Comrade Friedman, you are known as an excellent speaker. We hear you every meeting delivering a total assessment of foreign affairs. How come you are quiet and not speaking, not commenting on behavior of former comrade Yampolsky? And so Mr. Friedman said, because I have sclerosis in my brain. That was his answer.
Oh my goodness.
That's exact. I'm translating exactly what took place. And then suddenly the door opens very quickly and loudly, and I see another colleague of mine by name Konrad Nikolaevsky, who was also a student at St. Petersburg Conservatory as a conductor, and he was successfully working in Moscow, making movie music on Mosfilm, you know, this big company of,
Sure.
so he was accompanying movie music with a big orchestra. So he's suddenly at the door and looking at me and asking me, "Victor," I said, "Yes, nice to see you. How are you?" "I'm fine. But they just called me and told me you are sick, unwell." And I said, "No, I am well, and I am not sick." At this point, director said, "Mr. Nikolaevsky, you need to be informed that former Konrad Yampolsky is applying to exit visa. He is going to Israel. Therefore, he is removed." And Yuri Nikolaevsky was totally shocked by this news. And he said, "I'm not sure if you've chosen the best way to proceed by removing him from his concerts." And the reply of director was, "That is actually not up to you, and by the way, the intermission is over, so I would suggest that you go directly on stage and take over the orchestra." And at that point, all of them left. And I'm sitting alone with the director. When the door closed and we found ourselves alone, he suddenly changed his face, appearance. He started to smile, and he said a phrase which I will never forget. It goes like that: "Victor, you probably don't know, but I was just appointed as a music advisor in Cairo Conservatory as a representative of Soviet Department of Culture. I'm going to be there rebuilding the whole high education in conservatory, and so I'm going to Cairo. Therefore, if you see me on the other bank of Suez Canal, please don't shoot